All right, welcome everyone. So this is a short video on how to connect your Jupyter notebook to Microsoft Workbench. Okay, projected on my screen here, you need a few things. Obviously, you need a Jupyter Python setup. I think most of you have Anaconda Jupyter setup. You can do this on your Colab, literally anything, but we're using Jupyter. Kindly download your file from Lab3 portal, and within that file, you should see something like this. It has a bunch of different files. So this is the file I'm talking about, CSD1120 module 3 examples. And obviously you also need login credential as well. So after you have that, you're ready to go. So what's going to happen is you have a database, something like this. And then you'll be using Jupyter Notebook to access it. So you don't need Workbench, right? Workbench, you can just ignore it. This is one connection. Alternatively, you can directly go to Workbench and do your thing. So you have two options, either just running query to Jupyter and going back to a server, or you can just go to Workbench and go to the server. So you choose what works best for you, just for but some advantages of doing it on Jupyter is there are pros and cons rather. So the advantages is that you find better data processing profiling tools, whereas Workbench actually allows you to do more cleaner code writing, and also it is a nice interface as well. So you choose what's best for you. It doesn't really matter. You'll be using same SQL query, and then you'll also be using um, same syntaxes rather. So it really doesn't matter. It's up to you. Okay, so once you open the CSD module 3 examples for in-class demonstration, you should see something like this. In some cases, if you get an error that, so all of the codes here are already organized for you, but I just want to quickly go through that. These are some libraries that you need to import. For example, the pandas, I think you already have it, but if you don't have SQL connector, it will error out and it will tell you, kindly download or kindly install. In that case, what you'll do is do pip install MySQL connector, whatever libraries um, it's not there, you can just download it like this. Pip install pandas, and it'll install. You just need to install it one more time, and that's good, right? Unless you change your computer or something changed, right? So again, just hit run. And if you ran properly, it'll go well. So the whole point, I've already given you some information, the connection string. So what's going to happen is, again, you have a database, and then this is Jupyter, and this is Workbench, right? So two different ways we can do it. Both of them need this information here, the string information, so that you can actually, you need to validate it, right? So both of them have different ways of doing it. Like Workbench, there's already built-in custom, login process. This one, you need to create some sort of connection through a script. So I've already given you the script. Let's see what it does here. Okay, let me delete it. So a bunch of things you need, obviously, is your username, which is CSD user underscore student, password, it's common for all, and host, right? So if you go here, this essentially is the syntax. If you needed to do it for some other databases with a different username and credential, this is the structure. You need to put the user, you need to put the password, you need to put the host, typically IP addresses or something like this, and the schema that you're referring to. In our case, we already have something like this set up. So a CNX is the syntax equal MySQL connector. So there's already built-in library, and then you start plugging your information. So CSD, student, password, host, and the user is the name of the database that you use. How do you know this? Well, it was given to you. So let's run this. If it is something else, if your database is something, if you're doing it for your own, it would have a different name, different link, a different password, and obviously different username. So let's run this, and it'll be quick. So one of the validations check that you did, now what this is telling you is that you can now access the database. You don't need to go through Workbench. So one of the things that you can do here is see if it's working. Remember, if you go to Workbench, I'm just gonna go to Workbench here, and it'll take about 10 seconds to load. Okay, so if I go here, and again, it's asking for password, the same password as this one. So let's go back and hit next. Okay, so if you go user, this is a database, and there should be a table called family. So family, if you run this, you should see some information. So this database, this is a shell. This is just a portal for you to access the database that is in Yorks. So let's see if we can run the same thing in here. So what you need to do is you need to always create a little placeholder. So you can't just run um, you cannot run like select from family and then do this. It will not run. It will complain because it doesn't understand. So you need to put it in some sort of oops, DD. Okay, there you go. So you need to put it in some sort of a data frame. So what you do, and this is a normal syntax, it is this always starts and this always ends. The ones in the red is your code, right? So you can always, if you wanted to run something, what you should do is always copy this top part and copy this bottom part. Now you can run the query in. I messed up there. Now you can run the query in this little space, right? So let's run it here. So it is storing everything at df, data frame, and let's hit run. And it will give you some error because there's some updated. Don't ignore it. I think it ran. It will explicitly give you a really long error if those issues. It is essentially telling you to use something else because it's going to be ending soon, but totally fine for now. So what this like, but then you didn't see a query like this, right? You ran it, but you didn't see the output here. So what you can do is the changes, like it is storing the value in here df. So you need to actually explicitly go here and then see. So let's do all four because there's 4 lines and hit run. And it looks like, it is giving you same information as it is here, right? So family, alias, and so forth. So you can run it like if you're doing queries, if you're only comfortable running from Jupyter, you can actually use this setup and run whatever you want for your business question and scenario questions. If you want to do it here, it is also perfectly fine. The beauty about here is it has different tools. For example, if you do this, it will organize your tool. So it looks like select everything from, things like that, right? So there's different tools. You can extract it. You can look at it. This is more intuitive and cleaner for your code writing. This is for convenience, okay? So you can run a lot of different queries. This is one query that, on your lab, even on lab 2 and 3, the same query, try to run it, and then one thing to note is, like if you're running different queries, make sure the variable names are different, df1, df2, because if you have to access the query, if you do if you do this, and run this again here, what will happen is that it will override this thing. So you need to make sure you're naming it properly. You can also make it explicit, or you can say query 2, it's perfectly fine, and so forth, right? So whatever you want to name it, just have it more organized. So these are some examples that you can try it out. One thing I wanted to show you, and that is beyond the, beyond um, the scope of the course is something called data visualization. There's something of a library called SweetViz. You can just do that and install it, but I've already installed it. What it does is it takes the data. So let's say in our case, df, this data here. Let's run this again and let's see if it's still the same. Okay, it is. So it visualizes the data. What does it mean? So all you have to do is import SweetViz as SV, same thing. All of the code remains the same. And what you need to change is the data. So if you're doing query 2, you put query 2. If you're doing df1, you df1, rest remain the same. So let's run this and I'll tell you exactly what it does. Okay, so it'll take you about 10, 15 seconds to run depending on the size of the data. Now, if you notice, it does say show HTML, so show this file. It is giving you all the information about the data. So for example, family ID, let's start from top. There are 4 rows. There's no duplicate. There are 4 features. Quickly you're able to look at a lot of different things. You can also look at the association, which is the correlation, but in some cases there is categorical variable. It won't work. But it doesn't look like a lot, but if you have like 50 to 60 different variables with a lot of data and you want to know the missing values, you want to know like distribution of information, it is absolutely fantastic. There's another one called Y data profiling. Again, you can just install it like that. And same thing, you stick with the standard um, syntax. The only place you need to change is df here, whatever. And let's run this again. And these are 2 different things. You can feel free to use whatever you wish. Okay, so it is going to run for a little bit. And this one, I find it is a little fancier. And let's go and see. So when you are doing, let me see if this is where it stored the value, or maybe it was somewhere else. Let's see. Okay, so it didn't really store the value here. So again, it ran. So let's see if we're able to open this from somewhere. So the report that I ran, it actually goes and stays in the folder that you ran the program. So obviously you ran it through downloads.setup in my case, and that's where the report goes. And if you open it here, and it will give you a lot of different information, like sometimes unique distribution, word cloud, missing values, correlation, overview. Like it gives you so much information. It is quite intuitive as well. So you can just use the bottom. So this is not something related to your course, but something that you can try it out. And this helps you profile the data. This is an advantage over the other just having it in Workbench. All right, that's it. Thanks a lot.